Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, September 22nd. I'm Jimmy Prince for the details. Preliminary investigations have revealed three basic sources which caused the sudden collapse of a house in Clair Valley last Friday. Today on radio, Prime Minister Dr. Al Gonzalez says information received from the Chief Engineer Brent Bailey indicates the problem stemmed from the nature of the soil on which the house was built, coupled with a few other problems.
The challenge of the soil, but obviously from what is given to me preliminarily, that there was an error of judgment in addressing the question of the depth of the column. And thirdly, I understand the contributing to compromising the integrity of the dwelling is the nature of the drainage. I don't know how many of the houses have been affected, but I want to say this, that whatever the number, the necessary corrective work would be done by the government, and ensuring that the persons who purchase houses have houses which are comfortable and livable, and which is an important investment for them.
The Prime Minister made it clear his government will not dock any responsibility surrounding the matter.
We will not do like how governments, at least one government in the past, and I'm not going to do any political polemics in this regard, but what one government has done before, which caused a lot of problems in a particular area, Gibson Corner.
Yes.
And wanted to cover up their responsibilities. We don't function like that at all. Certainly this Prime Minister doesn't function like that. This government doesn't function like that.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister is calling on the officials of the Housing and Lands Development Corporation to be proactive and sensitive to the concerns of the Clair Valley residents.
I don't want to hear anything that any official of Housing and Land Development Corporation has said anything which may appear as though he or she is not viewing this matter with utmost seriousness or don't have any sensitivity.
I agree with you, Prime Minister.
Towards the people.
Yes, I agree with you.
Who have either suffered or those who may feel aggrieved and who may feel that they might suffer.
Yes.
What is required? Not just a preliminary assessment, a complete assessment, a scientific assessment, costings of the remedial work to be done, and for that remedial work to take priority as we go in forward.
In the wake of Friday's incident, some of the other homeowners in Clair Valley under the government's housing project are of the view that one major problem in the area is the lack of proper drainage for waste and rainwater. The residents who spoke off camera say while they were given the assurance that proper drainage will be put in place around their homes, such promise was not kept. But General Manager of the Housing and Lands Development Corporation, Elvis Charles, says the corporation will be looking seriously at the complaints brought forward by residents.
I am going to speak with the officials at HLDC. In fact, the chairman is going to be here in a short while. We are going to look into all of that. I mean, to see whether or not, you know, the persons of complaint really have a basis for complaining. We are not saying in their own assessment it shouldn't be done. But
some of them bought the property with the what should I call it, with the assurance that the drainage and so forth would be in, and I've spoken to people and quite a number of letters have been written in that regard. Okay, well, I can tell you, I may have a word for you, better word for you by next week, but right about now, let's take those as just mere speculation.
In other news, Prime Minister Dr. Al Gonzalez may soon travel to Cuba for further medical treatment after sustaining a muscular trauma in his upper right thigh, which has greatly affected his mobility. SVG-TV News received word last Friday that Dr. Gonzalez had forfeited his travels overseas, where he was scheduled to deliver a number of addresses. However, on radio earlier today, Dr. Gonzalez described his condition as very painful, but explains that he has been undergoing intensive therapy through the guidance of orthopedic surgeon Dr. Charlie Woods, Dr. Charles, and physiotherapist Dr. Dennis Byam.
Kind of injury takes a little while in order to get better. I don't want to force it. You see what I mean?
Yes, I understand.
They're advising that to speed up my own recovery from that trauma to the muscles, that I should seek further medical treatment in Havana. Denis has been very strong on that because he has been there and he knows injuries of that kind now.
Okay.
Are pretty well dealt with. So my staff and Eloise as well this morning have been making the explorations to see if I should go and when I should go.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister says alternative plans have already been put in place to take care of his overseas missions.
This afternoon I was supposed to be at the Clinton Global Initiative to be at that very important event. I couldn't, so I informed President Clinton, and he's very, very sorry that I'm not being able to make it, and wishes me speedy recovery.
Okay.
The event which I have to speak at in Washington, Camilo will deliver the address at the United Nations. Naturally, it will be the address of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Because every word of every paragraph would have my stamp and approval. In relation to the town hall meeting, I've already alerted Soboto to go up, so Soboto and Camilo can deal with the town hall meeting.
The University of the West Indies has been accepting students from St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College in certain programs since 2005. This is from Chair of the Board of Undergraduate Studies of the University of the West Indies, Professor Alan Cobley. He was responding to a letter sent by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Nicole Bonady-Baker, who wrote to ascertain acceptance regulations for UE for that should be for matriculation with respect to associate degree programs offered by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. In his response, Cobley pointed out that UE has accepted the associate degree in education in association with the joint board for the teacher education in the Eastern Caribbean for advanced standing in the Bachelor's of Education program. He said a formal articulation degree was also signed in 2008 with respect to the hospitality degree program and the Tourism Hospitality Associate degree program. According to Professor Cobley, in 2013 an agreement was entered into to offer advanced holding to holders of associate degree in business studies and in psychology. Professor Cobley, however, explained that while applicants may meet matriculation requirements, this does not guarantee admission, since entry to some faculties is highly competitive. Last week, during a press briefing, Leader of the Opposition, Annie Eustace, revealed that they have discovered that the associate degree programs offered by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College were not accredited, and that holders of such degrees were not being admitted to UE campuses on the basis that they were virtually worthless. Meanwhile, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Nicole Bonady-Baker, says that she is very much aware of the University of the West Indies regulations on matriculation and other issues, and is also quite familiar with the process. The PS was responding to the criticism that she does not know about the UE's regulations for students to matriculate and had to seek clarification from the chair of the Board of the Undergraduate Studies, Professor Alan Cobley. According to P.S. Bonadi Baker, she is the one designated by the government to sit on UWI's council, that's the supreme governing body of the institution, and the criticisms against her are unfounded. She explains that in her letter to the Pro-Vice Chancellor, she specifically asked Cobley to indicate what the university's regulations are in order to publicly clarify any misconceptions. Bonnie Baker says that she deliberately took the approach because while she represents the government on the UWI Council, she is not authorized to speak on behalf of the institution. According to the Permanent Secretary, she does not expect Cobley or any other official of the UWI to speak on behalf of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on any matter unless authorized to do so. She further states that as a professional, she cannot assume on her own accord the authority to speak on behalf of the organization in respect of the operational policies and procedures. She says Professor Cobley is of the same opinion and gave written permission for his response to be published in order to avoid any misinterpretation of statements issued by the University of the West Indies on the matter or any misconceptions by the public at large of the university's policy on its matriculation regulations. The statements made recently by opposition leader Anna Eustace about the value of the degrees and the qualifications obtained from the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College have been deemed as an assault on the nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and specifically on the professionals at the Ministry of Education and the Community College. Speaking on radio this morning, Prime Minister Dr. Al Gonzalez says, contrary to what some may believe, the criticisms by Eustace and the NDP are not against his government, but specifically an assault on the administrators and teachers at the college. Dr. Gonzalez also referred to a recent statement made by the Deputy Director of the Community College, Nigel Scott, who says Mr. Eustace's comments are attacks on his integrity.
Mr. Scott simply said, I take such a criticism very personal.
Yes.
As a professional.
Yes.
He said, because I have been with these from the beginning. These are my babies. These are what I myself have worked with. He said, and when you say that, you're questioning my integrity. Now this is what the opposition is doing to decent, hard-working professionals, young men and women. No, man. This has gone beyond the pale, and this one must have certainly gotten under the skin of thousands of decent people all over the country, who may normally say, well, it's just politics.
Yes, yes.
But this one goes beyond the pale.
You're watching the news on SVG Television. When we come back, we hear that this country appoints a non-resident High Commissioner to Canada. More stories on the local scene when we return. Welcome back. St. Vincent and the Grenadines now has a High Commissioner to Canada. On Wednesday, 16 September, Her Excellency Lassida Prince presented credentials to Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper. SVG was last represented at the level of High Commissioner to Canada by Brendan Brown, who served with concurrent responsibility for all OECS countries from 2007 until the closure of the OECS High Commission in September 2011. In presenting her credentials, the High Commissioner emphasized the value and importance that SVG places on the relationship with Canada, thus the decision of this country's government to reinstate diplomatic relations at such a high level. Prince, whose substantive duties remain that of Ambassador to the United States of America and the permanent rep to the Organization of American States, will continue to be based in Washington, D.C., while serving as non-resident High Commissioner to Canada. During her one-day trip to Ottawa, High Commissioner Prince also met with representatives from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Canada to discuss the mutual expectations and aspirations for the bilateral relationship between St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Canada. She also expressed interest in securing greater trade opportunities with Canada and more elaborate engagement on Canadian immigration and deportation policies, as well as the visa restrictions to which St. Vincent and the Grenadines is now subject. The Canadian officials reportedly signaled an interest in facilitating dialogue between this country and several Canadian companies with expertise in renewable energy, and also the level of recovery of this country following the devastating floods of 2013. Well, local farmers are being further advised to incorporate mechanization as part of the agricultural practices. Farmer Zero Sutherland made this suggestion in a recent interview with SVG Television. He said in order to stay ahead on the market, farmers must implement the use of modern machinery during the stages of planting, maintenance and harvesting of their crops. Sutherland further stated that the advantages of using machinery on farmlands far outnumber the setbacks.
Mechanization in agriculture is modern technology, and I am saying all the years, go to modern technology. We're teaching modern science now, so it's modern technology we have to go.
Minister of Agriculture Sabota Caesar endorsed Sutherland's statement and said that the use of tractors has created a positive impact on agriculture, and it will increase the agricultural production level in this country.
Tractor services, this also is creating a significant impact, because when it took an individual with a hoe, a farmer with a hoe, to plow a piece of land, to do furrows on a piece of land, it may take him 2 weeks. It will take a tractor less than an hour. So we can expect at the end of this year, going into next year, increases in terms of the acreages, and we are targeting these increases particularly to the 3 commodities that we want to export to the United Kingdom: the butternut squash, the hot peppers and the sweet potatoes.
The Vincentian Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, VSPCA, is seeking financial donations to continue its free animal clinics across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The VSPCA has been offering free animal care and surgeries to hundreds of cats and dogs here since it came on stream more than 2 years ago. In an interview with SVG-TV News, a member of VSPCA, Trudy Arthur, explains that each clinic cost the organization approximately $5,000, and at the moment their finances are rather low.
Future clinics will be on hold until we ideally get some more funding from businesses, organizations or individuals to either sponsor a project or a clinic. And in fact, the Brighton clinic was only possible because Dr. Dane volunteered his time and expertise to VSPCA. And on this occasion, we spayed and neutered over 50 animals.
Right, and you have a clinic planned coming up, at least maybe this is the last planned one until you get some financial resources. When is that clinic?
Yeah, the next clinic will be on October 4th when we celebrate World Animal Day at the Annersveld playing field, starting with a spay and neuter service at 9 o'clock.
Arthur is urging individuals and the businesses here to assist in ensuring that the project continues.
This beautiful vetmobile has been funded by the Grenadine Partnership Funds and Beacon Insurance, and all other funding is coming from memberships, our fundraisings and begging around. We need to get the momentum going, and as I said, we have a huge list of clinic requests throughout the whole mainland. Backway in Brighton we have been the 3rd time already, and people just calling in and say, when are you coming to our community again? We really need to get the momentum going. Businesses, associations or individual, please help us, support us in whatever way.
An agriculture worker from Layu was on Friday ordered to spend the next 2 years at the Belial Correctional Facility on a charge of deception. The order was handed down by Chief Magistrate Rishon Matthias Brown to ISO Lynch, that should be ISO Lynch, after he was found guilty of dishonestly obtaining $400 from the manager of the Cashwiz company, that's Andrew French, on August 6, 2014. The court heard that on the date in question, Lynch went to the business place and presented a business card to French stating that he was Inspector Grant attached to the Prime Minister's office. During a conversation, he informed French that he knew that he had applied for a firearm for over a period and that to speed up the process, he must give him $400. French did not hesitate and ordered his cashier to pay Lynch the money. French became suspicious after he did not see Lynch again, and he reported the matter to the police, resulting in Lynch's arrest. Meanwhile, a one-year jail term was handed down to 49-year-old laborer Junior Correa of Paws Avenue after pleading guilty to the charge of theft. Correa is accused of depriving McGregor Seeley, the manager of the National Lottery Authority, at Paws Avenue of $2,000 last Thursday. Reports are that on the date in question, Correa went to Seeley's office to collect the keys for his vehicle to have it washed, as he has been doing for about the past 5 years. And it was during such time that he removed the cash from the vehicle. After Seeley discovered that the money was missing, he reported it to the police, which resulted in Correa's arrest. Before imposing sentence, the chief magistrate told Correa that he was placed in a position of trust, and he betrayed that trust.